Are we all set, Asil? Thank you. Welcome to everyone for this session today about the Common App, and welcome to Meredith Lombardi, our representative from the Common App organization. So we're very excited to have her here to tell you what is the Common App and some tips and tricks for filling it out, and of course answering all your questions about the Common App. First, about us. We are the Education USA. We're a U.S. State Department network of over 425 international student advising centers in 178 countries. And we offer free and unbiased advising for students who are interested in studying in the United States. So at the end, we'll share some information if you're interested in one-to-one advising about how you can book an appointment. Asil?
Hello everyone, I'm Lasil Al-Ugaili. I'm a member of the Education USA Qatar. Thank you so much for joining us, and always feel free to share your questions in the chat box. And for those who are watching us on Facebook, please share your questions in the comments, and we will have some time to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asil. Meredith, I'll let you take over.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Look at us starting right on time, which is amazing. Thank you so much for having me, Asil and Paula, and welcome everyone. I know that we'll have people coming in over the next several minutes. So I am going to get things situated here and share my screen. So give me 1 second.
And as Asil mentioned, if you do have questions, please do put them in the chat box, and we'll address them at the end, so we can make sure that everyone gets their questions answered. You could also let us know in the chat box if you're a prospective student, what universities you're interested in applying to. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, you see everything okay?
Yes,
it's loading.
Coming up, yep, perfect.
Yeah.
It's there, Meredith.
Great, all right. Okay, so, and as Paula said, we'd also love to know where you're coming from. So if you wanted to put in the chat where you're located, because we know that this is a presentation that's going out to students in many different countries across the Middle East and North Africa. And so just really happy to be here to be a resource for all of you. I am here to answer your questions. The way this will work is I'll present to you for about 20 minutes about Common App, maybe 25 minutes, and then get to your questions at the end. But if I do share something through the presentation that you have a question on, go ahead and put that question in the Q&A so that we can answer it at the end. A little bit about myself. I work at Common App, so it is actually a place where people work. There are a little over 100 people who work at Common App. And I work on our access and equity team, specifically doing outreach and education. So I am here to help provide resources for counselors and advisors and students like you who are here to learn a little bit more about the college application process. Prior to joining Common App 5 years ago, I was working in the schools as a high school counselor. So I did advising with 9th through 12th grade students. So very happy to be here. Again, we'll kind of just go through what is the Common App, what do you need to know about the application, what tools are out there for you as you go through this process. Just kind of to ground us today, you all have taken time out of your day. I think it's afternoon for you. It's morning time for us here in the States. I am based just outside of Washington, D.C. But what are your reasons for wanting to pursue higher education and possibly in the United States or in another country outside of your home country? And how can you use that excitement to motivate you to go through the college application and admission process? A little bit about Common App. We are a nonprofit membership organization. So it is the colleges and universities that make up Common App's membership. Our mission is the pursuit of access, equity, and integrity in the college admission process. And so in this chart, you can see Common App started 45 years ago. which many people don't realize. It has been around for a while. So it started with 15 institutions and now has grown to 922 member institutions. This is also a good thing to keep in mind because depending on where you are in the application cycle, if you're grade 11 this year or grade 12, or you've graduated, we get new members each year in the Common App. So we are 922 this year, but if you're going to be applying a year from now, we may be at 950 members. There may be additional colleges that are part of Common App membership. This gives you a little kind of visual representation of where Common App members are. We do have members in all 50 United States, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. We also have 62 international members, so institutions that are in 18 countries outside of the US. We did a presentation recently with the Middle East, North Africa region, and someone from Northwestern Qatar joined that presentation, and they are members of Common App. I'll show you where on Common App's application or website you can actually go to find who are members of Common App. But it also means that not all colleges and universities in the United States are on the Common App. So it is important to know, where you plan to apply and then which application platforms you may be using. In terms of where students are coming from, they're coming from everywhere. So last year and this year, we've had over 1 million students who have submitted an application through Common App. Those students predominantly come from the United States, 91%, but then we have a large percentage, 9%, that come from over 200 countries outside of the United States. And so you can see the top 10 countries, you can get a sense, depending again where you're coming from in your region of the world, where you may rank among those 200 countries. So now we're going to just kind of dive into what to expect with the application. Your journey really starts on the Common App website, commonapp.org. We have over time, again, thinking about this organization, 45 years ago, there wasn't even a website. Even 10 years ago, the website was very basic. It was really just a landing page for you to go to jump into the application. But over time, we have built out a lot of resources that you can get on the website before you even start an application. So one place, for example, is our Explore Colleges page. This is where you can actually go to see what schools are on Common App. You can search for a particular school. Let's say you were thinking about applying to a university, you can search by name. Or if you just want to find a list of schools, maybe you're interested in a particular region of the United States, or you're interested in a certain kind of school, size-based. There's all kinds of different filters that you can use to help you look for types of schools. And then you can actually print those lists out or save PDFs. You can also see schools on a map view because the United States is very large. So getting a sense of where those schools are really located. There are also, there is a test optional filter, which just so you know, given, the global pandemic that we are all living through, we know, and our member colleges know, that many students were not able to take standardized tests, the SAT or ACT this year. And so of our 900 members, the majority, over 700 of them do offer a test optional policy this year. So I just wanted to make note that filter exists on our website. But if you're not familiar with the site fairtest.org, they monitor and keep the full list of test optional policies and specifically have a resource for international students, so students who live outside of the United States. Also just wanted to note that there is a global search on the Common App website. So if there is particular text, if you're having difficulty navigating the website and you just need to find something, you can always use the magnifying glass search to search for text and it will give you responses back. Another great feature on the website, or you can look at specific profiles of colleges. So if you want to learn more about a particular university, if you want to take a virtual tour of a particular school or see images from a school, you can do all of that on the Explore Colleges page. The schools also have the option to showcase some of their academic programs and student experiences. So you can, again, learn a little bit more about the schools to which you may apply. All right, so again, there's more on the website, and I think even in a few slides, I have some more in terms of resources. But when it's time to actually jump into the application, you can either select create an account or apply now. And it will ask you some basic questions so that you get your application started. Something to keep in mind, and this is for those of you who, again, are maybe not in grade 12, but are going to be applying a year from now or 2 years from now, Common App does have a feature called account rollover, which means you can create an account at any time and your information can roll over from year to year. In the US system, the application opens on August 1st. And so that's kind of like the beginning of a new academic year. Again, I know not everyone is on that same cycle, but so that you know, so on August 1st, the application will open for students who want to apply for the fall of 2022. So right now what's open is for students who are interested in starting school in the fall of 2021. When you create your account, your username and password remains the same. Your answers to common questions in the application can carry over from year to year. Your college list can carry over. And again, I'll show you some screenshots. But what doesn't roll over are any answers to college specific questions. So you would not want to go in there and answer any questions that are for a particular university until after August 1st. I've jumped into the application here, and this is starting on the college search tab. This is where you can actually add schools to your list. So Common App is a free platform to use. All of the 900 colleges are in here. Again, you add the ones that you want to apply to, and then each college will have its own separate application fee. Some charge $0, actually around 50% of them charge $0 US. And then some might charge $50 US, some may charge $75 US. So it really depends because each school is setting their own application fee. So you would get in here, you fill things out, and then when it comes time to submit to the individual colleges, that's when you would pay an application fee for each individual school. When you're in here, you can use filters to find particular schools. So if you wanted to find, for example, the schools that have no fee for international students, you can find that here. Or if you wanted to find ones with the test optional testing policies, you can find that here. There's also something called the application requirements grid. And in that, you can actually look up like a big Excel spreadsheet or Google sheet, all the member schools and their deadlines. You can look up their fees. You can look up their testing requirements, their letter of recommendation requirements. So you can see all of that in a large sheet. And you can also look up individual schools as well. That's a really, really helpful resource. I've jumped over to the My Colleges tab just to give you a sense of again, how you are submitting to individual schools. So it's accordion style, and you would go here and pick a particular school that you wanted to finish writing your the specific questions for that college. And then you would actually submit on this page. You would also, some schools, for example, this one, University of Richmond, have a second submission for a additional writing supplement. And so you would also submit that here. The other thing that you do on the My Colleges tab is you invite recommenders. So your teachers, professors, a counselor or school official, that all happens on the My Colleges tab as well. Jumping over to the Common App tab, this is probably where you spend the majority of your time filling out your common answers to your application. So again, the idea of Common App is you can fill out this information one time and then you can send it to different colleges, so you don't have to fill it out 5 different times or however many schools that you're applying to. There are 7 sections. There's the profile section, which is basic demographics, the family section, which is giving colleges more information about your parents, your family, your siblings, the education section, which is letting colleges know what secondary school or high school you've attended, or if you've taken any dual enrollment or college courses. The testing section is where you would enter self-reported test scores. The activity section is letting schools know what you do outside of your academics. And then there's the writing section where you'll find the Common App personal essay. And then finally, courses and grades, which is a section that some colleges use if they want you to enter your grades into the application. I will be going through several of these sections over the coming slides, so do not worry. But again, this is the common portion. Anything you put here rolls over from year to year if you do create your application early. We do have video tutorials in all sections of the application. We have a link on the right to our support team so that you can get help at any time that you need it. And we want to be there throughout the process. So anytime you have questions, again, either there'll be the frequently asked questions or the connecting with one of our support team members. Something else to note with Common App is the application attempts to be as inclusive as possible, which means we're trying to provide questions that speak to students in all different countries, learning in all different ways. And sometimes there may be questions that don't apply to you. For example, a question that's required will have a red asterisk. So a graduating class size, how many students, are going to earn their diploma or degree at the end of this year along with you. But then there's questions about, do you get ranked compared to your classmates? What kind of grade point average scale does your school have? Do you have a grade point average? Some of these questions don't apply to you in the way that your education system works. And if that's the case, you can always leave these answers blank. If you do have questions about this, because you can see that they don't have red asterisks. If you have questions or are unclear, you can always speak to someone at your school who can help guide you through how to respond to these questions. Another feature of Common App is that we do have a streamlined fee waiver request process. So we know that just paying to apply to college can be a barrier for students. And our member colleges do not want that to be a barrier preventing a student from pursuing higher education. If you do have financial need, you can request a fee waiver within the application. There are different criteria. So you will be asked, if you're requesting it, how do you qualify? You will notice that the way that it's written is very much written for US students. So again, you may need some guidance from someone in your school if this applies to you. And I will also say that it would be best for you to check with any school that you're thinking about applying to as an international applicant, just to make sure that they do accept the Common App fee waiver for international students. Within the education section, one section I wanted to point out is that you can let colleges know if you are receiving any advising support, free advising support, like you are today with joining this Education USA webinar. If you work with an Education USA advisor, or you work with another type of advisor or program or organization in your city or country, you can indicate that here. You can list up to 3 organizations you will see that Education USA is actually in our dropdown. So that's one example. Again, there are many organizations that support students through this process, but certainly you can list them here. And there is also an other you can select. So if you don't see the name of an organization in the dropdown, you can select other and then type the name of the organization in. Within the activities section, you can report up to 10 activities. So again, this is helping colleges understand how you spend your time outside of when you are in class. You will be asked to list, if you have any leadership roles, the names of an organization, brief descriptions, how long you've been doing the activity, and just to estimate the amount of time in there. Going back here, I just wanted to call out that activities really is encompassing of everything, not just organized activities. So it does include family responsibilities. It does include if you have a part-time or full-time job, or if you volunteer, or if you have a particular hobby, if you have engaged with your community in some way. It also can be, this is where you kind of talk to colleges about what's been most important to you. There may be an activity that you did one time, but it really had, it was very meaningful and had an impact on you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you've done for 4 years, but it's just, what do you want colleges to know about how you spend your time, again, outside of the classroom. Something to keep in mind here as it relates to COVID-19 is that colleges understand that many students were not able to continue their activities in 2020 and as into 2021 because things were closed and shut down, and there are things that have been canceled. I can tell you, even where I live, our students are still virtual. They have not returned to school yet, and we're coming up on 1 year of being in virtual learning. And to that, there is now a question that is specific to COVID-19. It's actually inclusive beyond COVID-19 to include natural disasters or any community disruption. So you can think about, again, whether it's COVID-19 or even prior to COVID-19, if there is something happening in your community, your city, your region, your country that has impacted your ability to attend school or to find a place to study, or has changed your family circumstances, you have this space in the application to talk about that. This question is in that writing section. So it's in the writing section, and then there's an additional information section. This is completely optional. You do not have to use this. Remember, all of the readers at the colleges and universities around the world know about the global pandemic and know about the challenges that students face, but they don't know the particular impact it may have had on you and your family. So if you would like to use that space, you have it. It's not essay length. It's not meant to be an essay. It is just a short answer question. And it is separate from, there is a separate additional information question if you need that. That's just a catch-all space for you. Looking at my time, we're good. So within that writing section, earlier is also where you'll find the Common App personal essay. The essay has a 650 word limit, and you get to choose a guiding prompt. It's a way for you just to help you frame your writing. It's not necessarily that you're answering a specific question, but you can take a look at the 7 different prompts to get a sense of which one speaks to you and you feel like helps you best tell your personal story. Again, it's your opportunity to put voice into your application versus just filling out boxes that talk about your name and your, where you live. This is really where your personality and some of your strengths can come out. If you have access to Google Drive, just know that Common App is integrated with Google Drive. So you can actually grab essay content, short answer responses from Google Drive. If not, that's okay. We provide the text boxes so you can copy over from Word or another software into Common App, or you can type directly into Common App. Again, this is your way to be true, really show your own personal story. And I'll kind of just wrap that up with, with all those different writing sections between the activities and the COVID-19 community disruption question and your personal essay. How do you really share what makes you unique through those questions? I had mentioned earlier that there's also, as part of the application process, there are some schools that will require you to have letters of recommendation that support your application. So there are 4 different kinds of recommenders. The first one is a counselor role, which is someone who has access to your academic records, who can share that, whether it's a transcript or again, just a written page that talks about your academic standing in school. Colleges are going to ask for that person to send an official record to them. Some of those counselors will also be asked to write a letter of recommendation. Around 40% of our member schools ask for that counselor letter of recommendation. And whoever you invite as a counselor can also view your application progress. They can see, have you completed the family section? Have you completed the writing section? And you have the option to share a PDF of your application as well. Again, if you don't have someone who is in a counselor role at your school, it may be the principal, it may be a dean, it may be the head of schools. You would want to talk with your advisor or again, the head of school to find out who that person is who's filling out the counselor role. Then there's a teacher recommender type. And this is someone who has observed you in a classroom setting. There are no colleges on Common App that require more than 2 teacher letters. There's only 30% of schools that actually require teacher letters of recommendation, 34% precisely. But you would never need more than 2 professors or teachers. So just keeping that in mind, and take a look at your schools, because you may not need any letters of recommendation, or you may only need 1 teacher. A third type of recommender is called an other recommender. It is optional, but some schools will give you the ability to invite an other recommender. And this is just if you have someone that you work with, again, let's say maybe you have a part-time or full-time job and you want your employer to write a letter for you, or you're involved in an organization and you want the sponsor of that organization to write a letter for you. Again, completely optional, but some people, this is, they need to have that space or want to have that, and we want to provide that. And then the 4th type of recommender type is called our advisor. This is optional. It is not someone who's submitting any forms for you, but if you have someone who is helping you with your application, maybe it's a sibling or a parent or an advisor that you're working with, like with Education USA, or a teacher, maybe your English teacher, that you want to be able to look at your application, you can invite them as an advisor through that advisor role, and you can invite up to 3. So I had said we did a presentation a few weeks ago with Northwestern Qatar, and they provided just some feedback about, what the benefits are for getting a letter of recommendation. Just like your essay gives that opportunity for you to have your voice come through, the written evaluations or letters of recommendation from teachers, counselors, principals can help a university see what kind of fit, whether you might make a good contribution to their community. The teacher letter in particular can help colleges understand, what you are like in a classroom, your participation, your leadership, how you contribute to class conversations. And so it's another piece that helps the colleges evaluate you when they're thinking about admission to their institution. Okay, so that's quick on the application. Again, happy to answer any questions. I think there may be some questions that have come through. I'll just quickly talk about some of the tools that we have for you to help you along the way. One place is our Common App Ready site, so commonapp.org/ready. There are PDFs and handouts, and again, you can look at it all on the internet, but it just talks about the different parts of the process. So there's a resource on recommendations. There's a resource on, what materials do I need to make sure I'm ready to apply? Basic, what is Common App? There's an application dictionary. There are a lot of terms that are used in college admissions that can be confusing. There are acronyms like CBO and FAFSA and FERPA, CSS profile, SEEB code, things that you may not have heard before. And so the application dictionary can help explain what all of those things are. There's also one on the essay to help guide you through picking an essay prompt. So all of that is still is out there on Common App Ready. We're also available 24/7. So again, we know that students are applying from all over the world at all different times of day. And so our support team is available at any time. You can, again, get to us directly when you're in the application, or we also have our app support, that's for application support website, where you can contact us through there. On that app support website, another cool resource just worth mentioning is you can look up any college and you can actually see what their writing requirements are. So not just do they require the Common App essay, but do they have any additional writing prompts that you may have to answer, and whether those are essay length or short answer or long answer. And it's just a nice way to be able to see the writing requirements before actually adding those schools to your school or to your list within Common App. But a neat feature is, if you see at the bottom here, it says add Clark University to my colleges. So if you do look up a school and you say, yep, I definitely want to apply to that school, you can add it right to your Common App application right from that page. I think this may be my last slide, so I think we're in good time, but also just want to mention that part of Common App is our Reach Higher team, which is really to encourage students about pursuing post-secondary education, higher education, whether that's a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, military service, apprenticeship, just basically, how can you continue your education after mandatory schooling? And over the last year, our Reach Higher team has put out some resources that I think are just really helpful. So we did one that was in partnership with YouTube, which was a crash course on what do you need to know once you get to college? What are some of those things that you may not think about? And it's with former First Lady Michelle Obama, who started Reach Higher. So she just talks about it from the perspective of things that she didn't know as the first in her family to attend college. And then she obviously has a lot of other guests who help provide some guidance for you. Then the year first was an Instagram show that launched last year that was following 4 current students during their first year of college. So it's just kind of keeping it real. What were they up to? What were the challenges they were facing? How were they community on college campuses? And then I'll just say we are on social media. So if you are on social media, we would love them. And hopefully you guys can hear me. It's saying my internet is not good. Okay.
It just broke up for a minute. I think you're okay. Let's see. Can you hear us, Meredith?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, the good thing is we are at the Q&A part. And so hopefully my internet will cooperate.
Okay. Your voice it is breaking up just a little bit.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop.
Okay, I think you're frozen. Lots of great questions while Meredith is sorting out her audio. Please feel free to type any questions in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. We have a lot of questions. Oh, Meredith, can you hear me? Are you there? I mean, I see you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You okay? Okay.
I am.
Fantastic.
I think I got kicked off.
Well, I'm glad you're back. We do have a lot of.
That was the fastest I've ever been kicked. Great.
I'm glad you were able to come back. Uh-oh.
Yep, I'm going to move.
Okay.
Okay,
go ahead. So for participants, while we're waiting for Meredith to adjust her location, please do type any questions in the Q&A at the bottom. We do have questions from the registration form that we'll be addressing. So we'll take those in a minute as soon as she's.
Yeah, and Boris really raised lots of good questions as well.
I saw those, Cecile. Thank you for sharing those. Thank you, Boris. So we'll address those when Meredith can find a strong internet connection in her apartment.
Yeah, in fact, some of the questions, Paula, if you like, some of the questions we can answer as Education USA. Like there were questions about how much does it cost to apply for a certain university?
Okay. So for the costs of the universities, each university is a little bit different. So you really need to check the site. The fee, as Meredith mentioned, the Common App is a free platform for you to use. It doesn't cost anything for you to use the platform. However, the universities that are using the platform, some do charge an application fee and some don't. And she also mentioned that there's a place where you can select universities that don't charge an application fee on the website. And so you need to check that. So the Common App is a platform. It was started several years ago to make the application process easier for students. So as she mentioned, it's not for profit and it's not meant to make things more difficult. It's meant to make things easier. So if you're applying for 5 universities and they all are utilizing the Common App, you can apply for all of them through the Common App with all that core information. And then each university has supplemental questions that are unique to that university. And so that's what you need to check. And the other important thing to remember that Meredith mentioned is that if you're looking to apply for fall 2022, don't start doing the writing activities now. You have to wait until after August 1st. Because if you start doing the writing prompts now, those prompts may change. So even the COVID question I'd hold off on because we don't know what that's going to look like for fall of 2022 applicants. However, if you're still applying for fall of 2021, now is the time to get writing and answer those questions. Meredith, are you back with us?
Yes, I'm back. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I can at least confirm, Paula, that the COVID-19 question is not going anywhere.
Okay.
We will keep that, especially as it is more encompassing for, again, natural disasters and community disruptions. And we know that the impact of 2020 will have a long-lasting impact on students who are in grades 10, 11, and 12. So that question will be there, and it is part of the common portion, so students can answer that. As far as the essay prompts, we are actually announcing later this month what, if any, changes there will be for next year's essay prompts. So students, and fortunately, there's not much changing. We're going to be adding one additional prompt. So maybe students will hold off for 1 month before getting that guidance. But we do like to get that information out early because we know that students who are juniors or in grade 11 do start writing sometimes before August.
Okay, super. Well, I'm going to start with some of the questions. One we have, it's about the AP. It says our students cannot take AP classes. How can that affect their application?
Yeah. So my question back would be, is it that your school doesn't offer APs, or is it that you weren't able to do AP because of COVID-19? Either way, on the counselor forms, the counselor, or again, the principal, whomever, is asked about whether your school offers AP courses or not. So if you say that your school doesn't offer AP, then the colleges would know that that's not an option for students. And then separately, just like the students have a COVID-19 question, the counselors also have a COVID-19 question. So in that, the counselor can actually indicate to say, our students were not able to take SAT or to take AP tests or whatever the case may be, if it was because of the pandemic. But in terms of admission practices, the admissions readers they know to read the student within context of their school environment. So if your school does not offer APs, your students are not at a disadvantage in terms of the admission process.
That's a good point. So then we have a question. Please explain the requirement of mid-year report and school report. These are not known in Israel, it says.
Yep. So we'll start with the school report, and certainly could bring it up as a visual, but basically it's a way for the colleges to learn more about a school environment. So there are questions to, again, the counselor or whoever the school official is of filling out the form to talk about what is the makeup of your school. How do you serve 50 students or do you serve 500 students? What is it's an opportunity to upload a school profile. So some schools have a 1 to 2 page overview document of their school that talks about, this is the average SAT score that our students receive, or these are the courses that are offered at our school. This is the mission of our school. So the school profile collects that information and gives that context over to the admission readers. The midterm or mid-year report is used for, again, if you think about the US system, when students are applying, oftentimes the last grades they have are the grades at the end of year 11. So some colleges want to know what are their current grades in year 12 at the mid-year part of grade 12. And so schools will ask for that. Not all colleges on Common App ask for a mid-year report, but that's basically what they're trying to get is, what are the students' most recent grades?
Okay. We have, Boris is asking, well, I think you already touched on this. Does the Common App application cover all US colleges? And I think right now you said there's about 900 plus in the system. But then the question that follows up to that is, does the Common App embrace all levels of education, like community college, undergrad, grad, and postgrad?
Yeah, so there's membership and then there's embracing. And so, yes, especially as you think about our work with Reach Higher, we want to encourage and help students pursue higher education regardless of level. We actually do have 2 community colleges that are members of Common App, and we welcome additional community colleges, and we are even we have received grant funding to figure out and explore how Common App can engage more with community colleges. So we've been looking at things like, is it possible to highlight community colleges on the Common App website? Oh, see, we got the dog joining. This is there's that piece. In terms of membership, a great example, for example, the University of California system is not part of Common App. So that, for students who are looking to apply to the University of California schools or the Cal State schools, those are separate applications. Same with the state of Texas. Texas has their own application system. However, some schools in Texas are on both. They're on Apply Texas as well as Common App. In terms of other levels, Common App, this presentation was about the first year application, but we also have a transfer application. So students who have started college at one institution and want to transfer to another institution, we have a platform to support that. And we also, we do endorse, there is a platform called GradCast, which is the Graduate Common Application System that is hosted by Liaison, who helps with our transfer application. And so we do support the GradCast platform as well.
So if students want to apply for their master's degree program, then they would use.
They could use GradCast.
Okay. And that's similar to you, a not-for-profit.
Correct.
Platform. Okay. All right. Then let's see. Sounds like a very convenient tool that helps students both. Let's see, perhaps.
Sorry, Paula, there was a question if there is money associated with like using the Common App. Is it free or not?
The platform is free. Go ahead, Meredith. I'll let you.
Yeah, no, Paula,
yeah. Platform is free, absolutely free. They're a not-for-profit organization, the Common App. However, the fees do come from the different universities. Some colleges and universities have an application fee.
Correct. Right. And so of the 900 members, there are around 430 that do not charge an application fee. So students, if they found those schools, they could apply to colleges completely for free. But some schools do charge an application fee, and it will vary by institution. So students just need to know, as they're submitting, which ones they need to submit an application fee for.
Thank you. We have some students that are asking about scholarships, and that's a little bit outside of this presentation. I don't know if you want to touch on scholarships a little bit.
I'll touch just a little bit because we do have in the application, there is a 5th tab called the Financial Aid Resources tab, where we try to connect you students with information about financing your education. So one thing we do is any school that you add to your list on Common App, we then on the Financial Aid Resources tab provide a link to the financial aid page to whatever school you're applying to. Because you will find that there are lots of scholarships and grant money given out directly from the colleges you're applying to. We also provide information about the CSS profile. Because again, as an international student, you won't be filing the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, but you may be asked to submit the CSS profile, which is another financial aid form that some colleges use. We also are integrated with College Board scholarships. And so we have an integration where you can actually share information that you've put in Common App with the College Board, where you don't have to, again, refill out your information. Again, data integration, saving you time with scholarships. So there's that. And then I'll also say that we just announced a partnership with Scholarship America, where we are doing some targeted outreach to help, again, streamline the scholarship process to make it easier for students. So while we don't do anything directly with scholarship applications, we are trying to be as supportive as possible. And then, yeah, Paul, I'd love for you to chime in on that.
That's great information, because that's one of the first questions we're often asked, and to make the process easier and more streamlined for students to how they can find out what scholarship opportunities are available to them. It's very helpful. So it's good.
And also on our website, one of the filters on the Explore Colleges page is offers aid for international students. So the good thing is that I think the last time I checked, it was over 600 schools, that's actually say that they offer aid for international students. But there are some schools that will meet, 100% of demonstrated need for students outside of the United States. And so visiting the financial aid websites for schools, you can learn a lot by going to their international student admissions pages.
And just to clarify, when you were talking about the colleges tab on the application form, and then you said application requirements, and if the students have selected, let's say 5 universities, and they click on application requirements, does that generate a kind of a spreadsheet that shows?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, the answer is yes. They actually would see that on there was another tab I didn't show, which is the dashboard tab. And the dashboard tab, and it may be in both, but you can toggle between, do you want to see the requirements just for the 5 schools on your list, or do you want to see the list of all 900 schools? So you can get it condensed down to just the schools on your list.
And then let me ask you, when students are doing the Common App, is there a limit to how many colleges or universities they can select?
Yep. So the Common App online platform limits students to 20 applications. So that is the maximum. On average, we see students submit 5 through Common App, but there are, 0.5% of students that do submit the full 20.
Okay. Now I have a student asking about the GPA system, and I'm familiar. A lot of the students work with percentages. They're not on the GPA, so I know there's some conversions. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, my one piece of advice, our system is designed to have you as a student report what is on your official documents. So if you had a percentage of 87, then you would put that into the Common App as an 87. It is not designed for you to do any calculating. There's no colleges that are asking you as a student or even as a counselor to calculate your GPA or calculate your any grade. It is you reporting from document to Common App to college.
So they can enter their percentages. They don't need to do that. That's great. Okay, Good to know. We're back to the mid-year report. I meant that it is a problem to deal with these requirements. So maybe this person means that the schools don't generate these types of mid-year reports or school reports. Maybe some schools don't do it. Is there a way around
it? So, I can speak from my own experience as a former school counselor, because we did not have any true mid-year grades. So to meet that requirement, in truth, I would go in and basically say, here's the student's latest academic record or transcript, and it looked exactly the same as the initial one. There were no updates.
Okay.
So that's how I had to meet that requirement. Otherwise, schools sometimes will make their decisions even without that, or they'll reach out directly to the counselor and ask for something.
Okay. That's helpful. Then we have, let's see, one student. I'll be graduating. It's my BS in 1.5 years and interested in doing a master's with thesis in the USA. Very clueless about everything. How do I start? Especially, I'm going to say, make an appointment with your EdUSA advisor. I think that's the best advice I'm going to give this particular student about how to get started in the search for a graduate program. I'm going to say, reach out to your EdUSA advisor and help you on that path. And then somebody's asking, the GradCast is the app, the platform where I can apply to different universities. I think maybe there's some confusion there.
Let me for graduate school, and again, just like Common App, GradCast, and here, I'll throw this link in. Admissions. Not all graduate programs, right, are on GradCast. So if you're thinking about applying for certain program, you may have to still apply directly through a university. Also, again, graduate school. I'm not the expert on graduate school, but I can say that in addition to GradCast, there are also other application platforms like Nursing Cast. So if you're thinking about nursing, there's all different branches of types of platforms for graduate school. And again, I would say more often for graduate school, you're still applying directly to the institutions that you're interested in.
Thank you. There's a student, if a U.S. citizen is studying and graduating from abroad, is considered an international student or out-of-state student? I can speak to that, but
yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I think they're considered an well, it depends. I'll speak to my own children who grew up overseas and then went to study in the United States. They did qualify for in-state tuition. One did, one didn't, and it depends on your family situation. And actually the specific university that you're applying to. You really have to do some investigative work if you could qualify for in-state tuition. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yep, agree with that.
Okay. Asil, do you have any?
Yeah, sorry, there was a question from one of the students who registered. I live with my mom and her family in my grandparents' house. Should I choose other in the question about the place where we live?
Oh, and there was my mother and her family. Choose other.
So it looks like they have a question on their.
Yeah, like who do you live with? Who do you primarily live with? Yes, you should definitely, if you do not live with your, mom or dad and it's an other, then absolutely. I don't know the exact drop down, so I don't want to misspeak for that. But yes, you should indicate exactly what your living situation is. And that's another example of if you find that the questions don't exactly speak to how you're trying to convey the information, you can always put that in the additional information section where you can just put a little, family and then kind of just write, I currently live with my grandmother or whatever you'd want to elaborate on. Yep.
And then one more question about the difference between a freshman's application and a transfer application.
That's a great question. Yep. So the freshman or first year application is designed for students who are just leaving secondary school or high school, who don't have college credits or don't have not been living on a college campus or attending college. They may have a few college credits as, again, dual enrollment, but they have not yet earned their degree in high school. Or they have, but they haven't gone to college yet. Transfer is you have received, let's say, at least 30 credits of college coursework, and now at one institution, and now you're looking to transfer from one institution to another institution. And that could be from US to US institution. It could also be from an international institution to a US institution.
Would that apply if a student started 2 years at a community college? That would be a different,
No, they would use our transfer application. Yep.
Okay.
So if they start at community college and then now they're looking to go and complete their years 3 and 4, they would use our transfer application.
Okay, great.
Sorry, there was another question, within the recommendation letters and requesting for someone to do the recommendation letters. So someone is asking, so Ilham, just want to confirm that Education USA advisors do not recommend the students on the Common App. So let's say that the student doesn't have a school advisor or school counselor. Is it possible for them to have Education USA advisors?
Yeah, so we've received this question before. I think in some instances, it has been okay for an Education USA advisor to do this. The key is how to ensure that the academic records are considered official. And so that is just, who actually can have that access, because if it starts to leave the school and then go to Education USA, then sometimes it's no longer, and it went through the student, then it's no longer considered official. So that's just, who's the best person who can make sure that official documents are sent to the colleges and universities.
That's a good point. And I think just to clarify that point about the advisor section in the recommendations, that the advisor can be assigned as a reader, somebody that can give feedback, can have access to it. That was that part that they weren't submitting documentation. So that's good to know. If the student wants extra support or he or she's filling out the application. Let's see, do we have any, may I please get an email to contact EduSA advisor? It depends, Julie, what country you're in.
Yeah, I recommend, like Julie, I recommend that you go to the website of the embassy in your country, and under that you would find some information about Education USA, Team Education USA Center, and you would know the email of the group.
Yeah, or you can email us and we'll find it for you. Just let us know what country you're in and we'll help you find
ours. I'll share ours in the chat.
I think, does anybody else have any questions they'd like addressed? Oh, she's in Qatar. It's us. Okay, so we'll see.
I already shared. It says it's doha@educationusa.org.
That's easy.
One thing I would also note is, and I'll put it in the chat, but we know that there are some questions that are confusing for international students and advisors because they really speak still to a US system. And we are working and continue to work to be more inclusive and to simplify the process. So we have an ideas portal. So I know that on today's call, we have some students, but we also have some advisors and some school officials who may be working in that counselor role, thinking about the questions from Israel. So we want to work with you and think about how we can help make the process simpler, thinking about the mid-year reports and school reports. And so I'll put the link to the ideas portal. You can always put that feedback there so that our product team can actually think through and they'll, if you want to provide your contact information or if you wanted to have a follow-up conversation, we would be more than happy to work with you because we're always thinking about how do we make this process simpler and remove some of these barriers.
Great, thank you so much, Meredith. And like one of the questions as well, is the Common App used just for college application or are there any other resources that might be useful to the students?
Right, so our website resources are there and are free to use, whether students, end up applying through Common App or not. Same with the resources that we put on social media through our Common App site, as well as through Reach Higher and Better Make Room. So we also have those Common App Ready resources. We have, I didn't include that in today, but on our website, we have guides to help, like, okay, if you're in grade 9, here's what you should be thinking about to be college ready. If you're in grade 10, if you're in grade 11. So I would say, please feel free to use our website as a resource. Even if you, again, create an application, but ultimately don't submit through Common App, that's another way that just to learn about the application process in general, because you'll find whether you're using Common App or another application platform, the questions are still very similar in terms of trying to get to know you.
Sorry, sorry, Paula and Meredith, there is more than one inquiry saying that how can they connect with you if they have some problems applying or contact, and who to contact and where. And someone also asked about your email, Meredith, if that's an option.
There's also, you said there's a lot of help. There's live chat, I think, when you're filling out the application too, right? Or there's a chat.
Yeah, so I just put, there's 2 email addresses that go directly to our support team. So app support, if you're an applicant, you're a student and you have questions about the application. And then if you have questions about the recommender process, then sfsupport@commonapp.net. The truth is that they go to the same team that are based here in Virginia. So if you mess up the email, it doesn't really matter, but the team is here in Virginia. I am happy to provide my contact information, and I'll put it here, but I'll just say I am not on the support team. So my response time and my ability to see individual student activity, I don't have the same access as our support team. So that's just, I want to let any of you students know, if you really need help with your specific questions, you probably would want to reach out to our Solution Center, who will get back to you in 20 minutes versus me, who might take 2 days.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of fabulous resources for students and advisors to take advantage of on the website. I mean, you said there's the tutorial videos that can be very helpful, and also the dictionary of terms. Wow, very helpful, especially with some language challenges, those acronyms, and just understanding what they're asking for. So take some time to look at the resources that are offered for free.
Yeah, I see the question about, again, this, if my school doesn't have this school counselor role, and we know that a lot of schools, international schools, don't have this counselor role, but there's someone who's in an advising role, an academic advisor. We've seen English teachers have been serving in this role in schools in other countries. Again, a principal or head of schools. So you can ask to find out who in your school, again, who has access to be able to upload your academic records, and can talk about your school in terms of the overall school community. But yes, it doesn't have to be someone who's titled school counselor.
And so we have another student that's asking about his grades, and the grades, it's really dependent on the university. He said, if my grades aren't that good, will I be qualified? So it's the different universities have different levels of expectations, student expectations. I don't know if you want to address that a little bit, Meredith.
Sure. Yeah. And I think this is different than in other countries, right? In the United States, there are no, in general, there's not like a minimum, you need to have this percentage or this grade point average to qualify for admissions to a school. The review is much more holistic. So your grades are one piece, your test scores are one piece, your letters of recommendation are one piece, your application with your writing is one piece, and they're putting all of that together to do an evaluation. It's not as simple as just, do you have a certain score for to be admitted or not admitted. Having said that, there are schools, if you go to admission site, they'll give you an average and say, on average, the students that we admit are in this range. So that can kind of give you a sense of whether you fall in that range, or you're above that range, or you're below that range. But being below that range doesn't necessarily mean that you would not get accepted.
Yeah, because they're looking at the whole of you. So that's why the other materials that they're submitting has to support the student's application are important. So there's one question, like, please use the space below to provide details about the change in the progression through second year high school. What should I write in this section?
Yeah, so this question is there. It's one of those only if you need it. So there are students who take gaps, right? Who have a gap in their education, who may have started or finished year 12 and then maybe have the required military service, or they take a gap year to work, or they take several years, or they start a family and then they want to go back to school. So this is there only if you're not going directly from grade 12 into college. Yeah.
And Asil and I met with a student last week who was 22 years old, and there was a big gap from high school to college. So there was a good reason for it. So this is the opportunity for that student to explain why there's a gap. Yeah. And so this, somebody's asking about language, and that's something we haven't spoke spoken about. Is language test a condition? We know that the universities require an English language proficiency score, but it's not, I mean, you can, where do they add it in the application?
Yeah, in the testing section, we provide students the opportunity to share information if they've taken the TOEFL exam or if they've taken the IELTS. There are also schools that accept Duolingo, which Common App does not currently have in the system, but it may be there for next year. In that application requirements grid, there is actually a column that talks about which English proficiency tests the schools will be looking for. So students can find that there, as well as if they visit any admissions page, if they go directly to the admissions page for colleges, they would learn more there as well. And then in terms of language in general, obviously Common App is in English, and the colleges do expect that what is submitted is in English, both from the student as well as from recommenders and your academic records.
That's a good point. That's important that the letters of recommendation are in English, and the transcript needs to be transcribed.
Yeah. Sorry, I know we are running out of time, but there are like 2 inquiries. One of them is about the recording of the session, and I would like to let everyone know that those who are joining us on Zoom and Facebook, that the recording is there on Facebook. You can use it, you can watch it, recommend it anytime. It's there, it will be there forever. And the second question that we have one of our viewers on our Facebook asking if it is possible to share presentation.
This presentation?
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, Shani is saying, can we have the presentation just to make everything?
The actual
presentation, the slides. I think they mean the slides.
Sorry, yes.
So this is up to Meredith.
Yes, of course. Yes, I will send them over to you, Asil and Paula, and then you are welcome to make those available to anyone.
Great.
And
thank you so much.
Tell the student from Egypt that there is an Education USA advisor in Egypt to make sure that you reach out to that person, your Education USA Center. There's a question about that. Thank you so much, Meredith. What a fabulous session. As always, I learned a lot.
Well, I so appreciate Education USA, and I appreciate you all for bringing and providing these opportunities for people to ask questions. And thank everyone for the questions, because we never know if people are going to feel confident, right, in asking questions. But I appreciate that as not all of you, I said this whole presentation in English. Many of you are multilingual. You are hearing this in English, but also processing it in possibly your own home language. And so I appreciate being able to be a resource. Please reach out. Let us know how we can help. Thank you. Please stay safe and healthy, and just let us know how we can be a resource.
Thank you. Thank you for demystifying that Common App that can feel a little intimidating, but now we know there's a lot of support for students who are filling that out and advisors who are guiding students. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
It was really useful. Thanks a lot. Thanks for everyone who joined us through Zoom and through Facebook, and please stay in touch, and we look forward to your participation in our future sessions. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.